What's good, peoples? What's good? This is Big CED back again, the industry cosign. The latest edition of My Friends Are Better Than Yours, even though this guy right here is not really my friend, but for the sake of the program, I'm gonna call him my friend. Let me stop. What's good, everyone? This is Big CED. I have I've known this man literally for like about 2 weeks now, so we're good friends now. Um and as most of you already know that's content. Is this your first time tuning in? I've been in the industry for many years and I've met so many dope people over the years and I've interviewed so many celebrities and people and that doesn't excite me anymore. Actually, it never excited me. But I decided that I want to use my forum to promote and speak about my friends that have been doing and are doing things. And Wendell J. Haskins is someone I've known for damn near 20, 25, 30 years. I don't know. Long time. Long time. And in the midst of the conversation, I usually do intros, but I always flub intros. So I just figure we're going to talk about whatever the intro is going to say anyway. So I'm going to start it off by introducing Mr. Wendell J. Haskins, Original T Golf. And welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Sid. It's good to see you, man. I see you must have exhausted your list of celebrities. Now you're getting around to us regular folks now, right?
I mean, you're a bigger celebrity than some of the celebrities I've contacted. So, so to me, it's the same thing, as far as the accolades and things of that nature. But I want to start off by actually, just let the people know what who you are and what you do, and then we take it from there.
Who am I and what I do? Who am I, Sid? Who am I?
Wendell J. Haskins.
Listen, I'm Wendell Haskins, the founder of Original T Golf. Sid and I really know each other from music business days when I used to be a promoter of New York Live and Hot Butter Soul. I worked for Island Black Music at that time as an A&R person with Drew Hill, the Isley Brothers, Uncle Luke, and Sid was a meathead running around the music business, doing exactly what he's doing right now in a different form. So
at the A&R, he wouldn't listen to my tape, so I had to find something else to do.
He was Mr. Listen to my demo, and his demo didn't work out so well. No, I said we go way back, man. And there's certain people that you'll know for a lifetime. Whether we haven't seen each other in quite some time, but we can always pick up right where we left off because we're just friends and familiar with each other like that, and we have a shared history of industry knowledge and relationships, and we were part of an era of the entertainment business where we saw, young people, particularly young people of color, emerging as music executives, and being in that mix was like an exciting time in the streets of New York.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm gonna stop you right there because you said something real interesting because we came in at a time where, like, the wave of entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs that are here now, are doing their things because of the things we were doing back then, when we wasn't looking at it like it was. We looked at it as it was a business in some aspects, but we just looked at it as us doing what we enjoyed and being able to do something with it. So I'm glad that, like, at the time we did meet, like, I don't think like we all had the same goal. I think everyone just wanted to be successful in what they do, and then we all ended up branching up to whatever it was that we were doing. Because at the time, like, I think I was working at Motown as an intern and doing parties and things of that nature. And it's like, I think we was all just trying to get our footing and just figured it out. And a lot of us figured it out and we're still here. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because you're still here. And from what I see, you probably have about 30 years left in you, and that's at minimum. So, and like I said, I want to champion the people that are still have the hunger and the passion to do the things that they enjoy while getting paid for it as well. But like you said, we both met in the music game. I'm still in the music game, kind of, sort of, not really, because I'm doing more journalism. But I want you to discuss, like, since we're starting from the beginning, like, how is it a music exec is now doing golf?
Well, listen, man, when I picked up golf as an adult, when I was working at at Island at the time, and this was in the late '90s, and I started to play golf, and I really fell in love with the game and immersed myself in the game of golf and all of the history of the game. I just started reading everything that I could about, the history of golf, how to play it. I started taking lessons over at Chelsea Piers. And then, as you know, I'd already been doing these big parties and things, right? Like, the Grammy parties and Bone and Win parties at Tavern on the Green, and taking people to have these really great experiences, our industry people to have these great experiences at these great venues, right? We were kind of known for that, right? So when I started to learn about golf, I was like, wow, everything that we're kind of like doing at the club and the kind of fun that we're having, socializing and drinking and doing, these kind of things. Before I started to learn about golf, I'm like, wow, a lot of that same kind of activity goes on at these country clubs, right? Like, go, you have fun, you sit around, and not only on top of that, you're engaging with people in what's essentially an informal business environment, right? So as I started to get my invitations to all these different private clubs and country clubs and meeting, people in high finance and in business and starting to engage with them and having real relationships with them through golf, I started to say, man, I want my friends to know about this. I want my friends to know about golf. So, and there were some people that already played golf that I didn't know about, but it's just like anything else. There was like a subculture of golf that existed, right? So guys like Keith Clinkscales and Len Burnett, the Vibe magazine guys, and, they already played golf, Kennard Gibb, like, there were some people who were already playing golf. So I said, wow, I'm doing these parties and stuff. I think I would like to create a golf tournament.
Yeah.
Because from everything that I was reading as well, golf tournaments are like the Grammy Awards. They happen all the time, every year. They don't end, and they have a history of their own. So, us having the entrepreneurial spirit that that was ingrained in us, I said, I want to create a great golf tournament experience for, that represents our Black culture, right? So, and then knowing that the golf space was so devoid of people of color and our kind of flavor, so to speak, right? I'm like, man, I'm gonna get all these people that I know that are already playing to support the original T tournament, and this tournament is all gonna be about celebrating the history of African Americans in golf, right? So, guys like Sam Jackson were playing golf, and Will Smith was a golfer, and I was starting to find out more and more and more people play golf. The NBA was also one of my clients, the National Basketball Association, because I was a stylist, remember? So, when I was around Dr. J and George Gervin and all these NBAers, these guys are legends, and they're playing golf all the time. They're not playing basketball, right? So it also dawned on me that as we get older, what are we going to do that we love?
Exactly.
Get out and socialize with one another, have some camaraderie, some fellowship, and be able to hang out, talk some business, have some drinks without the music blaring, and really, be productive and conducive to doing some business. And all of that led to golf. So I said, I'm going to get started now and create something special. And now here we are 26 years later. And, my tournament is great. I have great sponsorship partners. It means a lot to a lot of people. I've helped a lot of people on the way, along the way, from kids being able to learn the game at an earlier age, and even inspiring other people to do tournaments of their own. I mean, hell, Anthony Anderson's tournament is next week in LA, right? And this is his third or fourth year with his tournament. I'm not sure what year it is, but now, people who are kind of like household names to us, they're all golf heads. Kevin Lyles, Shaquem, like all those people, like Kedar Massenberg. Like, I see all of those guys now regularly, not in the club or not, on the streets in New York. We see each other when we're at DJ Khaled's golf tournament, or Steve Harvey's golf tournament, or Anthony's golf tournament, all these different golf tournaments that exist now, because people love the game so much. And our culture is starting to have such an impact on the entire industry. We have a presence that we never had before. So I was like really early in saying, and this is something that I want to do to, expose other people to the game, promote the game of golf, because it means so much to me. And I know other people will enjoy it the same way that I do. So you know, it was like creating a little, you know, in comparison, it was like creating a little music label time and just
like a Def Jam or something.
kind of
Yeah.
doing my thing golf wise. And I'm like, if people may not get it now, but later on they're gonna catch up and they'll get it and understand. So, you know, here we are, you know, like I said, 26 years later, I'm planning the original T golf tournament now. This is the 26th year.
Yeah.
It's in July 26th and 27th. Every year I have a great honoree who's a Black icon typically that loves to play golf or has had a huge impact on the game of golf. So I educate people, entertain people, and give them a great experience as well.
So you're honoring me next year. Okay, gotcha. So
you don't play golf yet. If you were playing golf, I would have gotten the memo by now. People would be like, Big CED is playing golf, but you haven't come up on the player list yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what's funny. I was about a good 3 months because my cousin golfs. You know, of course I know people who golf, but I'm like, you know what? I need to really be on the green like that because everyone I know and who I've come up with, like, if they didn't before, they're doing it now. Like, you know, in part because of you, because most of the people that I know from the industry, whether it's music, sports, or whatever, are people that have played in your tournament and things of that nature. So it's like, and hearing things, and I'm not gonna like, okay, and I think I told you this. I haven't made your tournaments because July, I melt. I don't leave my house when it's over 80 degrees, and every time I say I'm gonna go, the sun is like, and I'm like, okay, you know what? But I promised myself. As a matter of fact, I'm going to, and since this is public information and people are seeing this, I'm going to make it out there this year. And I know I got to get held to it now because I just said it and people have heard me say it. But I've always wanted to because I know that one, I heard that it's fun, and two, it's just an interesting thing. The only time I've been on the golf course really was when Black Enterprise used to do it, because you know I freelance for Black Enterprise. I've been with them for like 90 years now. Yeah. And I think in Florida. In fact, that may be the last time I saw you. Whatever, how many years ago that was. And yeah. I just felt it was just interesting. And I felt like I wasn't properly dressed because I know that there's a decorum when it comes to golf, like, you know, similar to being on a basketball court where you have to have the certain, you know, uniform, things of that nature. But I do love the fact that not only, like, in part due to what you've been doing, that more Black people are involved, because I know that the misconception, well, it wasn't a misconception. Earlier, like 30 years ago, golf was a rich man's game. I understand it still is, but I also understand that there are programs and things around the, you know, the states now where younger people or people that don't really have the means. And like I said, I don't want to make it sound as if it's like that way, but it was a perception that it was, but I'm glad that it's not anymore. But anyway, so you will see me. Now I know that because of talking to you and knowing what you do and who you are, you also place an emphasis. You mentioned it, but I want you to go more into detail about the emphasis on the history, because most, and I hate to say this, I should say most, but a lot of Black people just know Tiger Woods. And it's like, no, there were people before Tiger Woods, there were people after Tiger Woods, there were people around. So I know that one of your functions and one of your goals was to make sure that people knew about the history of Black people being involved. Like, what was the mindset behind that when you first started the tournament, and how does that still resonate now?
Said it's no different than what we experience in the music business, right? You know, there was a time in music where there were no Black labels, right? There was before Motown, before, you know, So Def, before LaFace, before like there were Black music labels. Music existed, right? We just didn't have anything that, you know, our own businesses and things that represented our music, our culture in the most authentic way, right? So when I started to learn about golf, you know, I decided to read as much as I could about the game, because I was a novice. I didn't grow up playing golf and know these things, right? I had some friends and mentors that started inviting me to country clubs and to play golf. So I was learning about the etiquette and all of those things from mentors of mine. So there was mentorship involved, right? And then from the things that I read, it was, you know, look, when you say golf might have been the rich white man's game or whatever you want to call it. That's no different than what America is, right? Like, so, you know, there's wealth everywhere, and typically where there's a lot of, a lot of money, there's a lot of influence, and there's a lot of access, and all those things, and that can apply to any industry, right? So when you start to immerse yourself in as a person of color, and you want to make sure that you're represented properly, and that and people know about your own authentic way of expressing yourself and doing things, and you want to be able to have that voice, you go out and you create that. So when it came to golf, for me, I read everything that I could about the Masters and the US Open and the history of Bobby Jones, Ben Hogan, and Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer, and all these things, right? So I know all of that traditional history. But then I came across a couple of books that really changed my life, because one was called Forbidden Fairways by Dr. Calvin Sinnett, and another one was called Uneven Lies, which were two great books that tell all about the history of Black people in golf. So I discovered, Charlie Sifford and Renee Powell and Lee Elder and Black architects that, had designed golf courses. And I discovered by reading this book that a Black man had actually invented and patented the golf tee. The first golf tee was invented by a Black man who was Dr. George F. Grant. He was a Harvard Dental School graduate and a dentist, and he patented the golf tee. So something that we even kind of use, a new iteration of it that we still use to this very day, was originally designed by a Black man. So that's where I came up with the name to name my event the Original Tee Golf Classic, because it goes back to the history of someone who made a significant contribution to the game as early as the late 1800s, right? I said, I'm going to create something that has that kind of meaning. We'll continue to celebrate all of the accomplishments and the things that Black people have brought to the game of golf, and we'll have a great tradition of our own, because I feel like I know how to educate, entertain, and do things of quality for people, right? Which I've always been able to do. So, and my tournament is just phenomenal. And as far as you, look, man, I know, it's been tough to get some people to come out to the golf course. There's this new thing that they have in the clubhouses. It's called air conditioning, right? So, you don't have to come and subject yourself to 90-degree heat. Said it's not, it's not as archaic as you're making it sound. Like you wouldn't have access to air conditioning if you came to the tournament. And there's a social component to my event as well. So, you would come and see many people that that are familiar with. You'd fall right in and feel real comfortable. I mean, you're gonna see, some of our music business peers, artists, entertainers, people from like, Ja Rule and these guys are playing golf now, and Kadar, those guys show up from time to time, and the entertainment industry lawyers, Matt Middleton, and all these guys. Like, you're gonna see them, and you're just gonna be like, why haven't I ever come to this before? Yeah. And they're gonna be like, Sir, what are you doing here? You don't play golf.
That's gonna be the sentiment. It's like, what are you doing here? I do know and knew that, but I actually engage in the actual game of golf, and I think that's what it is for me. Because, like I said, and like I said, the hangout part I've got down pat. So I don't know.
That's why I know you have no problem. That you have never been anywhere said that you haven't figured out how to socialize.
Yeah, I felt uncomfortable. That's
the least of my worries.
And plus, I want to dress properly, because everyone likes to tease me because they know that I'm going to tease them. So I got to be on top of my game. And if I'm not top of my game, I'm going to be the laughing stock.
Man, I'll do you this one favor. You come, I'll do a small, a 5-minute consultation with you when you come up to the course. You can, go in the clubhouse, show me what you're wearing or planning to wear, and I'll approve it for you, or I'll help you get it right.
And I'll come with checkbook in hand, credit card in hand, to make sure that I can purchase what I need if I don't have it with me. So, but let me, because I know this is still a touchy situation, especially in the environment that we are now, because there's always been the air of race. Well, basically, anything, but specifically with golf, part of your job over the years was a DEI. Like you were involved in DEI before people knew how to spell it. So when you first got into the golf, the golf industry, what was the experience when it came to that? Because like I said, I know that, and this was like what 20 something years ago. No, even no further back than that you actually got involved. So I know there's been many changes, but with the person that you voted into office now, it seems as if it's coming back to what it was 50, 60, 70 years ago. But as a black man coming into a sport that hasn't been, at the time, I should say, that hasn't been too nice to people of color, like how are you able to navigate your way to, one, be involved in a way where you were actually an executive as well as a player and as well as a participant, and then what I may label, and other people would, a power player within the golf industry?
I said it developed, from me doing my own thing. I created something. I created Original T, and it was my own platform that I did very freely, openly, and in the way that was comfortable to me. So I was introducing people to the game of golf in New York, in a very influential market of New York City, where you can make it there, you make it anywhere, right? So I started my own tournament, and I was doing it for a number of years, and have all of these notable people coming and getting press coverage and media coverage from obviously my peer groups, like the Vibe magazines and all of those things would write about these things. And the people that were coming from Uncle Luke, who was one of my artists, Leor Cohen came to the first event, because Leor was a big golfer, and all of my music and entertainment industry peers were supporters. So the NBA was a sponsor of mine, and the NBA is still a sponsor to this very day, right? So I was also doing business development with sponsorship partners, and you know this game, right? When you're looking for sponsors and partners. So my sponsors now are NBA, the US Golf Association, the LPGA, Delta Airlines, Tito's, Arcis Golf, Pepsi. I've had BMW, I've had Mercedes-Benz, I've had some really great partners, Titleist. I've had partners that are traditional golf brands, and as well as mainstream and culture brands that support my event as well. So quite honestly, the way that I was able to kind of break into the golf side of things is networking, right? I was already doing something. I created something special that was my own. And, you always get more, kind of garner more attention when you're doing your own thing and it becomes successful, right? That's what people want to start to associate with you, right? So I was building my own brand, a reputation for myself. I had a lot of relationships that were great that I continued to bring to my event. People who were evangelizing like what their experience was. Like always have a great time at Wendell's thing. People, I do this. So word of mouth, as you know, you can't beat that. And I was getting really good word of mouth, establishing more and more relationships. People wanted to introduce me to other people. And as a result of me doing my own thing in New York, I started getting introduced to golf people, like people who were in the golf industry. So when it came down to them in like 2013, I met the guy who was like one of the chief business officers at the United States Golf Association. We became friends. We went out to dinner in New York a couple times. Then he ended up becoming the CEO of the PGA of America, right? So he knew about me, my relationships, the things that I was doing with, sports and entertainment, and what they call in this golf industry, I was growing the game. I was growing the game of golf, and I knew how to grow the game of golf authentically, bring in new audiences. You can call it diversity or whatever you want to do it. They needed that thing at that time to say, okay, yeah, diversity. He has all of these people of color playing golf. So he's accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish now in this industry, right? So that's when I got tapped by the PGA of America's CEO to come to Florida to head diversity for the PGA of America and to do all of the things that I was doing under the PGA of America umbrella. But it really came, quite honestly, there weren't any like wide open opportunities for somebody to have a job, you know, and just, you know, fill out a job kind of application and go work in golf, right? It was really like networking, doing my own thing, having some success, and then being, you know, open to those conversations that allowed me to come and work for the PGA of America. So, you know, that put me in the position that now, you know, I was a senior executive in the golf industry. So, you know, that's when I moved from New York to Florida, and I've been here ever since. I've been in Florida ever since 2014. So,
yep. Now I want to, because I know we have limited time, because you know you have other duties as well as I do. I want people to. I know you're doing. You're working on a project. Actually, why don't I just make it a better question? What are you working on these days?
well, I consult for a couple of different brands, right? So I consult for Arcis Golf, which is one of the largest golf property management owners of private and public courses in the country. They own 73 courses across the country. So I do an HBCU championship for them, right? So this year was the second year that they have the Arcis Golf HBCU Championship. It's held right down here in Fort Lauderdale at one of their clubs called Weston Hills Golf and Country Club. So I consult with Arcis, and then I also am consulting on a really big project in Philadelphia called Cobbs Creek. And it's a huge project, $160 million redevelopment project. They're restoring a golf course in Philadelphia that's like right in the backyard of where Will Smith grew up. It has historic significance from its architecture, and it was also once the home course of Charlie Sifford, who was the first Black golfer to, you know, play on the PGA Tour. So I'm consulting with them on that project. It's a pretty exciting thing. It's going to be a major property when it's all said and done, with all kinds of amenities. Tiger Woods is going to have his learning foundation there that has STEAM and programs for the youth of Philadelphia. So, you know, those are great. And I consulted Live Nation's Music Foundation on their first tournament in Los Angeles, because, you know, people were starting to get more and more interested in golf and don't know a lot about the game or what to do when it comes to planning an event or, you know, getting started. So I help some big brands get started to be able to make the impact that they want to make in a cool and authentic way. And of course, you know, like you said, a lot of people in the music business are playing golf now. I mean, music and entertainment. As you know, Will Smith is a big golfer, Anthony Anderson, J.R. Smith, all these athletes play golf. Steph Curry's a big golfer. When I was at the PGA, I actually made Steph Curry a golf ambassador. So, you know, it's that kind of knowledge that you have when you know people are playing and are golfers, that you can engage them in bigger opportunities to grow the game of golf.
I'm sitting with somebody who's a Presidential Medal of Freedom honoree. You were
I wasn't the honoree. Charlie Sifford was the honoree.
Well, you received recognition from President Obama. It was, but and I know recently, Palm Beach honored you. So yeah. I definitely want to acknowledge like the fact that, you know, I have people on my platform that have won awards that I will never win. So no.
Well, I didn't win the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But when we talk about the historical significance and the importance of what people of color have brought to the game, Charlie Sifford was that for me, right? So Charlie Sifford was the person who was considered to be the Jackie Robinson of golf. Yeah. So I'd already honored Charlie Sifford at Original Tee in 2006, right? So, you know, I had the relationship with him. But then when I went to work for the PGA of America and I was the head of diversity, I said, we have this man who's still living, who's the Jackie Robinson, and he hasn't received the proper recognition that he deserves. So me and my role, allow me to be able to do this for him, for golf, and particularly for a lot of people who know Charlie Sifford, know the history, and you know, Obama was the president at that time, you know, and I really used my sports and entertainment industry network to make that happen, said. So Alonzo Mourning, who was a friend of mine, he was also a friend of President Obama. He suggested it to Obama and asked if it would be possible. Zoe got the message back to me, said, you know, Zoe got the message back to me and said, Obama said it would be worthy. This is what you need to do to make it happen. Embarked on like a real letter writing campaign from all of the great luminaries in sports and entertainment, wrote letters to the president, to Obama. And fortunately, it was, and Charlie was at that time, he was, I think, 92 years old, you know, wasn't in the best of health, but I was able to get that done. And it was really, to this day, it's probably one of the most proud accomplishments in my professional career to have done that for such an icon. And he died maybe about 3 or 4 months later, but that was really his swan song. And quite honestly, whenever people mention Charlie Sifford's name now, they can't go without saying he won the Presidential Medal of Freedom, right? So that's one of his highest accolades. And I'm very proud to have been such a major driving force and a part of that. And then, you know, some of the things in Palm Beach, you're talking about, I got a proclamation. Like, I've received proclamations from New York City and Palm Beach for the work that I've done and the kids that I'm able to help as a result of my tournament, the scholarships that I'm able to provide people, young people, the opportunity I give some of these young people to be able to make money, to, you know, to help them along their professional journeys and help finance some of their financial challenges along the way, you know. So, you know, being recognized for that is great.
That's a good thing. You know what? Let's go a little further back because not to say that not many people do it, but you actually attended an HBCU and an Ivy League school, and two with a great history, Hampton University and Cornell. And what was that experience like? Because I know that there are people that wish, like when I was coming up, like I kind of regret not going to an HBCU, but not like, especially like nowadays where it's like all the rage, especially with sports, with J.R. Smith going back to become a golfer, and then Deion Sanders and all these other things. Now it's a thing, and the fact that, like I said, you actually also went to Ivy League school, and I'm pretty sure 2 different experiences, but both help shape who you are, so that way you can do what you do. Like, what was the difference in experience outside, of course, the cultural, but or maybe it's just cultural, which is the difference. Like, what was, based on your experience, the difference between going to Ivy League as well as HBCU?
So let me clear this up. First of all, like I did go to Hampton. I went to Hampton University. My sister also went to Hampton, and my brother went to Howard. My mother also went to Virginia Union, but my dad went to Syracuse, right? So, you know, we were an HBCU family. My dad also went to Columbia, which was Ivy League, but I didn't go to Cornell. I went and received a certificate from Cornell. So I went through a program at Cornell, but I didn't actually have to be on the campus and do that experience. But I went through a diversity, after my experience at the PGA. I wanted to get more accreditation in diversity and inclusion, and I went through the diversity and inclusion certificate program at Cornell. So it was great. I mean, it was a great experience. I mean, my peers in that program, I still keep in touch with some of those folks today. The HBCU experience is just, you know, it's unmatched. You know, I mean, the camaraderie, the fellowship, the love that we have for our fellow alumni in the universities are great. You know, you look at, you know, the Howard alumni, the Hampton alumni, the North Carolina A&T alumni, like, the HBCU experience is just unmatched, and you would have fit right in, said at the HBCU. But
I visited Hampton and Howard before, but didn't attend. No.
I know. Well, it's not too late. It's not too late, man. You know. And listen, I'm actually also involved in right now trying to get. Hampton lost their golf team a couple of years ago, so they want to restore it. So hopefully that'll be something. If I'm able to help get Hampton get their golf team back, that'll be my next most proud accomplishment to help them get their golf team back. But it's going to take a little work, and we're just I just engaged with the president, President Williams at Hampton about that just 2 weeks ago, right? So, we're going to see what's possible, and hopefully we can get the golf team funded and reinstated.
Before you bounce, do you have any goals that you haven't reached yet? Or because especially when we're doing things for so long, we create new goals for ourselves once we match any. Do you have any goals or any expectations of yourself within the next how many years you're going to be doing this, or what you want to do?
Absolutely, man. I haven't even touched on what the big goal is. One is to make a big impact on people being able to have access to the game and learning the game at an earlier age is something that I'll continue to do. To have success on all of these projects that I'm talking to you about, those are all of my most immediate goals. And when it's all said and done, I want to be one of the most impactful people when it comes to people of color in the game of golf, to help have access and see more people playing, understanding the history and so forth of the game. So that's an ongoing mission. That's just a part of my journey. And then for Original T to get be developed to its fullest potential, which would include the tournament reaching its full potential, the apparel and things of that nature, and the collabs that I'll be doing in the future to reach their full potential. So those are things that I'm working on and hope to see come to full fruition, and goals that are in my sight.
That's cool. We could be on here for like another 7 hours.
It's fine, man. It's fine. It's cool.
But I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I also wanted to make sure that, like I said, anybody that's watching this or who will be watching this will know that your importance in the golf industry because of what you've done and what you're doing. People who had either no interest in it before or didn't think they had access to it now have access to it because of what you've been doing. And now, like, golf was only cool for Tiger Woods because he was considered corny, at least in the world. It wasn't that cool. But now it's like I have friends that I knew that literally grew up in the projects that go golfing, and I'm looking at them like, how did you get into golfing? And like I said, and I credit it because when people tell me these things, like and some of the time, especially when it comes to our celebrity friends or associates, there's always a connection to you somehow because either you introduced somebody or somebody who knew you were introduced. And like I said, I felt that when I started this platform back up again, like when I had my list, I was like, I definitely got to. And I know I reached out to you before, and I forgot, whatever the case may be. But I'm like, I definitely need to speak to Wendell because and of course when Alonzo Mourning, when you're on the Charlie, I feature you in Black Enterprise.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to try to do my part and introduce you to people that may not know who you are, and then reintroducing the people that we may know together that may not know what you have done in the previous years if they don't know. Because in this thing that we do, we lose touch with each other, but we don't. But there are so many things that happen between people that, like, even when I'm doing my research, I'm like, oh, yeah, Wendell is actually, in a bigger space than I thought he was. But I can appreciate, and I always tell people that when I do reach out to people to do this, it's because I want everybody that would be in contact with me in any sense to know, and if they have any interest. Is there any way that anybody can actually contact you via social media? If I had any questions or
for sure. So my social media handle on Instagram is Wenhogan at Wenhogan, WENHOGAN, and then there's a OTG Classic on Instagram, which is all about my golf tournament and announcements and things about the tournament. And I'm on Facebook and social media. I'm Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
That's that's mostly it for me. I'm not on any of the other handles, but
yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to get in touch. You go to my website, originaltgolf.com. There's information there about everything that's going on, and certainly all of my contact information is there for anyone that wants to know. But you know, it's great to see the kind of the tentacles of your work and the benefits of your labor, and how generations behind you get to benefit from that. Right? You have guys who had been coming to my tournament for years, and they were like the young guys, and now they're doing tremendous things. Everybody kind of knows Eastside Golf now, right? Like Eastside Golf is like the power brand that's doing great. And these are two young Morehouse guys that played on Morehouse's golf team. They got a deal with Brand Jordan, and now they're like the new in kind of industry darling and brand that's doing some really great things. Earl Cooper was a young guy who he was a young teaching professional, and he's a PGA pro, a guy that I tried to help along the way. He's just gone on to do tremendous things. And then of course you have influencers like Roger Steele, who's doing amazing things, and Troy Mullins, and all of these other people that are influencers, and people who came through the Original T tournament and got the opportunity to meet people and network and make relationships to help them along their journey. So the golf industry itself is just becoming more diverse with some really new, fresh energy, fresh perspectives. And of course, like you said, like J.R. Smith is a big golfer. He went back to A&T, to join the golf team. And now, he's an ambassador for Oakley and golf. And I mean, there's so many great things that are going on right now that just weren't happening or even possible as recent as 5, 10 years ago. So yeah, it's like a real transformational time. And, particularly when we get involved and bring some real energy, diverse perspective, and a little swagger to the situation, it usually helps the environment. It helps move the needle.
I think two last things. One, what is the most exciting thing about golf for you?
Like just playing golf
in general, whether it's being involved in it, whether it's your work, whether it's actually golfing. Like for you, like
it's all of those things, Sad. Like, look, man, when you play golf, I mean, I know you used to play a little basketball. You weren't too good, but you looked like you were enjoying it when you were playing, which is probably the most important thing, right? So people will probably ask you, like, Said, why are you playing basketball? And you'll say
the opposite way that I'm asking you, right?
You like, I'm not that good, but I love it. Like the exercise, getting my heart rate up, being with my friends.
It's more of a social program for me than it was actual athletic.
Yeah, look, man, golf gives you that same look. I grew up playing basketball, baseball, football, mostly organized baseball and basketball as a young person, right? So when you start to play golf and you're challenging yourself, and it's just your club the ball, right? So it's up to you to figure it out. So it kind of like parallels life in a lot of sense, right? Like you got to figure your own game out. You got to get lessons. You got to go get instruction. You have to work on whatever it is that's going to make you better. That like parallels life, right? So when you don't execute something in golf, the only person that you can really be upset with is yourself, right? Because you either didn't put the work in, or you didn't rise to the occasion to be able to execute, right? Which is what we all want to be able to do in life, right? You set your mind to something you want to go do well, and you try it, and you put your effort towards it, and when it's successful, you feel great. And when it doesn't work, you feel like shit, right? So you always want to go and have that feeling. And then when you're playing with your friends or your buddies or even people that you don't know, you're still playing for your own score, but there's competition going on, right? So the gambling and all of that stuff comes into play. But at the end of the day, it's you relying on yourself, your own skills, but I mean, I get a lot of satisfaction out of golf just because, like, when you can go out there and hit a drive and hit a perfect drive or hit a great shot to the green and watch that ball go in the air and drop where you want it to go, and putt and make a birdie and walk off. It's just like, it's really gratifying, man. And that's just something that you get from sports, right? Like, if you go out and you're shooting threes and they keep going in and keep going in, you be like, yo, I'm the shit, man. I like, this is fun, right? Like, like you enjoy it. So when you put the work in and you see the results of your work, and then you can go out and perform in front of others or with your peers or your friends, and you can talk some trash and gamble, make a little money. Like, there's just a whole element to golf that's like, it's fun. And for us, it's like, it's like having transferable skills. Like, I can take my shit talking to the golf course, the same shit talking I did in basketball and softball in Central Park on the weekends. Like, and then when you have your friends around, it's just that much more fun, right? So you can really,
especially with the friends we have.
Yeah, friends we have. Look, man, I still play with guys from home, like Lem Burnett is down here, and Byron Kirkland and Tony Shellman. I mean, these are all guys that you know. So it's like a comedy show, first of all, when everybody shows up, right? And then you get, you gotta gamble immediately, so you gotta put your money in, and then at the end, the person that gets the money is the person who performs the best at the right time, right? So look, man, those are the kind of things that I hope I get to experience for as long as I live. And the thing about golf is, you can pretty much play this as long as you're reasonably healthy, right? So old guys are out there playing, and young guys. I mean, I play golf with my 7-year-old. I play with teenagers. I play with women, older people. I mean, the demographic is crazy. Like yesterday, I just played golf yesterday right here in Florida. I played with a guy that was one guy was in his 70s. The other guy was in his one guy was probably in his 60s. Another guy in his 70s. And then Greg Anthony, right? The Nick. So Greg lives down here. He just came fresh off of calling the Cleveland game the night before, got off the plane because he lives in Florida. And we were out playing golf yesterday for 4 or 5 hours and had a great time. Great conversation, fellas. I hadn't seen Greg in years, right? So just like, if you were to show up at the golf course, you just pick up where you left off and it's all good. But, those are the kind of things that I look forward to. And I don't take those things for granted either, because, life is precious, man, Yeah. So, you never know when, I mean, I lost a good buddy last year, and the last time that I saw him was on the golf course. He came down here for Super Bowl weekend. Within less than 5 months, he died of a massive heart attack. One of my dearest friends, right? So you can't take those things for granted. And when you get together and are able to have a good time and enjoy time with your friends and the people that you love, I mean, that's what's most important, man, at the end of the day, no matter how you're playing. So that's probably the answer to the question. That's what I love about golf, right? The fact that I can play it, I'm reasonably good at it so that I can enjoy myself. And then the other camaraderie and the fellowship and experiences that I'm able to have as a result of me playing golf.
I'm pretty sure the first time I hit the golf cart, I'm going to, depending on where it is and who it's with, it's going to be a laugh fest. Because
look, man, I tell everybody, we all started there. So whatever you experience when you start playing golf, we've all been there. So nobody starts out being an amazing golfer, right? We're all trash. We, still struggle. None of us are not exceptionally good, right? But we play well enough to enjoy ourselves, and it's just like anything else, right? You will be as good as the time you put into the game and work on it, right? So if you just play well enough to hit the ball, move it forward, and keep it moving, and you enjoy that, then that's good enough for you. It's your personal choice.
I'm going to be as well as my ego, because my ego is going to drive me more than I'll drive the ball.
Oh well, if you got to put that aside, or you won't come back.
No. I mean, as far as like my drive will be because of my ego, not the ego of me actually, because I can't play, so I can't use that as a driver, but just my ego and just pushing myself because of the people around me will push me. That's what I meant when I said that, because you know how my mouth can be. So it's like, that will be driving me. And even if I come in last place and be the worst golfer ever, it's still gonna be enjoyable for all of us because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it. But
yeah.
Tell the people again what your the date, well,
the original Tee Golf Classic, yes. July 27th. 26th is the welcome day, and 27th is the actual tournament. Crystal Springs Resort, Hamburg, New Jersey, Wild Turkey Golf Course. Great time. You can register for it at originalteegolf.com if you want to play or learn or even be a spectator. And there's a little bit of something for everybody, even if you don't play golf. So
I think he was really directing that at me. But thanks once again. It was great talking to you. And like I said, it was great catching up as well. And I'll see you in July.
All right. All right, I'll believe it when I see it. When you pull up, I'll believe it when I see it.
I actually, you know what's funny? I actually just bought a fan that you can put around your neck.
Of course. Some things never change. I already believe.
I swear I just bought it because I said I got to do these things though. So but anyway, thank you once again. Big Set Industry Co-Sign. My friends are better than yours. And if you think I'm wrong, then you show me your friends and I'll show you mine. Once again, thank you, Wendell J. Haskins, Original Tee Golf. And until the next time, peace, everyone.
My man, good talking to you, Said.
Great talking to you, too, if I can get this thing to end. So